situation now that we've got the legislative action in Nevada?
Yeah, I reviewed with the group as a whole our relocation process. Obviously, the passing of the legislation in Nevada really important. It's another important step forward, but there is a pretty thorough relocation process that the club now needs to go through as a prelude to a vote of the clubs.
How soon could that happen?
It just, it depends in large part on how quickly the A's can get their formal relocation application together. I will appoint a relocation committee to review it. So there's some work that needs to be done. I'm not going to predict timeline on that.
Can you explain the process a little bit? Just what does have to happen? So they send it
Yeah, so they have to submit an application. There are pretty rigorous requirements about the application. You have to talk about the market you're leaving, the efforts you've made there, the market you want to go to, why it's better. It then goes to a relocation committee, has to review the application and make recommendations on things like operating territory, home television territory. That recommendation comes to me, goes to the executive council. They ultimately make recommendations to the clubs, and then there has to be a 3/4 vote. How was that for shorthand? Pretty good, huh?
What kind of sense have you gotten from the owners in your kind of informal conversation this week about how they do feel about a potential move? It's not really sneaking up on anyone.
Look, it has always been baseball's policy and preference to stay put. I think that always colors any conversation about relocation. Having said that, I think that the owners as a whole understand that there has been a multi-year, approaching a decade effort where for the vast majority of the time, the sole focus was Oakland. Look, I believe me, and I hear from them, I feel sorry for the fans in Oakland. I do not like this outcome. I understand why they feel the way they do. I think that the real question is, what is it that Oakland was prepared to do? There is no Oakland offer. Okay, I mean, they never got to the point where they had a plan to build a stadium at any site. And it's not just John Fisher. You don't build a stadium based on the club activity alone. The community has to provide support. And, at some point you come to the realization it's just not going to happen.
What are ways that application could play out? Like, what are some things that would raise concern and cause you or the committee or someone to not approve a move to Vegas?
It would be really unfair to the A's for me to speculate about those sorts of things at this point. I mean, they literally just got through this legislative fight, haven't even filed the application. I just can't do that right now.
So I know you don't want to get into timetable, but you're finishing up next year's schedule. How does that play into the process of figuring out how and when to do things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't see the schedule as a significant driver on the issue of timing. If it was a relocation of a team from the East Coast to the West Coast, maybe. Sure. It's not, and that's an adjustment we can make. Okay, the schedule not an issue.
Did you watch the A's game on Tuesday when the fans came out for the reverse boycott?
I was actually at a dinner with the owners.
Did you read the coverage?
I did. I saw.
Impression of that?
I mean, it was great. It's great to see what is this year, almost an average Major League Baseball crowd in the facility for one night. That's a great thing.
Is there any worry about moving from the 10th largest TV market to the 40th and building a 30,000 seat ballpark that would be the smallest, that would turn the team into a perpetual receiver of revenue sharing?
I think that's a more specific way to get me to do what I just said I'm not going to do. I mean it, right? I'm not. Again, I'm not gonna today. I just think it's unfair to the A's. They deserve to file their relocation application when I have all of the information in that application. If and when I see concerns with respect to it, I'll talk about it publicly. Until that happens, I'm not going to do it.
Rob, why is it okay that John Fisher does not speak publicly? Is that an acceptable level of accountability to the fans, to you, to your owners?
Look, I think we have never mandated that owners have a particular stance with respect to public availability. That's just not, it's not something that we do or leagues do generally. You know, I think each owner has to make a decision as to how he's going to interact with the market. You know, it has been my preference to be more available rather than less, but everybody has to make their own decision on that.
Well, then, probably preferable to ask him, since he doesn't seem to want to be asked. Do you think John Fisher is making a good faith effort to field a winning team?
Look, I would say this. I think if you look at the A's record over time and the economic circumstances, including the state of the stadium that they've operated in for a very long time, they had a very, very good record up through the pandemic. That's what I would say. Markets that face that kind of financial difficulty often have to make hard decisions with respect to players when you have limited financial resources.
So you think this is the best team he could be fielding?
I don't make judgments about how people put their teams together. It's not appropriate for me to do.
Rob, can I ask you about a different market? About a month ago, there was a vote in Arizona on a new arena for the Coyotes that got knocked down. Do you have any concerns? I think the Diamondbacks are through 2027 or chasing.
Right.
Do you have any long-term concerns about the Diamondbacks in Arizona?
Look, I think whenever you get near the end of a lease, you get yourself into a situation where what I regard to be public assets, right? A stadium is a public asset. There's going to need to be updating. I think that Ken Kendrick has indicated a willingness to fulfill his side of sort of the public-private partnership to the tune of, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm hopeful that whatever went on with the Coyotes is not an indication of a lack of public support to fulfill the public part of that partnership to keep the Arizona facility a first-class major league facility.
Rob, when was your last visit to the Oakland Coliseum?
I was in the Oakland Coliseum last year.
When was that? For what event?
I was there for a player meeting. I went for a meeting with the players, and there was, I can't tell you the date, but
What was your impression of the conditions of the ballpark at that point?
the ballpark's not in good shape. I think the ballpark's not a major league facility. I've said it repeatedly. I think particularly, I met down in a room kind of in the bowels of the stadium. You get down in the bowels of the stadium where the clubhouses are. It's not a major league facility.
And did you hear player feedback that they have concerns about playing in that environment?
I have.
And
Yes.
yes, in terms of thinking about something like a relocation fee, could you sort of walk us through the process of what that would look like with the owners?
Yeah, the relocation fee, the ultimate decision will be made, you know, in the process that I described a moment ago. You know, I've been clear with the owners. I don't, in a context where you have an owner who's making $1 billion private commitment, moving to a market where they receive public funding for baseball to step in and have a relocation fee, I don't see that as a realistic possibility.
And even if that's not a realistic possibility, if it were to happen, if the A's or any other club were to pay a relocation fee, where does that money go? Does it go to the central fund? Does it get redistributed?
Yeah, everything that gets paid to Central Baseball goes in the central fund and gets redistributed. We don't hold
waive
cash.
that fee? I thought you waived the fee. The
Yeah,
relocation
I just said it's not a realistic possibility. I was explaining why. Yeah, I have said publicly, there's no waiver document out there, but I have said publicly that we're not looking for a relocation fee.
What is your expectation of Diamond paying these next deadlines in terms of the rights fees, particularly today with the Rangers?
They paid.
They did pay. And the other ones on the list, the July 1 clubs, those are gonna get paid, or what is your expectation there?
You gotta try Diamond on that one. I mean, I don't know. We're kind of going day to day, you know.
But the Rangers got done.
The Rangers got paid. Yeah.
One rule thing that's got attention locally, Rob, is the sticky stuff enforcement you guys have done. Mainly because it's one Yankee and two Mets that have been suspended from it. You know, a lot of the players have complained, at least certainly here, about it being an arbitrary system and trying to determine what's legal and what's not. From a league standpoint, you know, how do you guys feel about the way it's being enforced, and can it be?
Look, I think that I would say several things. First of all, nothing arbitrary about the enforcement. The umpires all received uniform training on what the use of rosin on the mound in the way that is allowed under the rules, what that feels like, and what it feels like when you're doing something illegal, either combining it with rubbing alcohol or sunscreen or some other sticky substance. So I don't accept the premise that it's arbitrary. And look, the sticky substance phenomenon was altering the way the game was being played on the field. And we feel that it's, from an integrity and fairness perspective, it's our obligation to do everything we can to make sure those rules are enforced. Where the violations happen to fall, that's a product of who's violating, in my view.
But, and also that part of it, you mentioned it not being arbitrary, it can come down to that particular umpire's impressions on that particular day, right? It's
Yeah,
not it's not a technical or number related.
Yeah, we talk to the umpires after each situation like that. I think it is fair to say across the board, the violation situations were in the unquestionable zone. Whether you have a number or not, it was absolutely clear that the level of stickiness in each situation could not have been produced by the allowable use of a rosin bag.
Do you think those are the only 3 pitchers who have used an illegal amount or
No.
illegal substance?
No, because I'll tell you why I answer it that way. I am sure that out of an abundance of caution and good judgment, umpires have had questionable situations that they decided just not quite sure, and I am 100% certain they err on the side of no violation.
Wouldn't that be arbitrary then?
No, it's because,
Cheating or getting away with it?
look, I think that it would be arbitrary to take a questionable situation and push it into a violation. I think the athlete deserves the benefit of the doubt in the unclear situation.
Rob, is it part of your job to support or help owners extract public funding? You know, the stadium subsidies, like, is that part of being CEO of Major League Baseball?
I think it's part of my job to make sure that we have 30 Major League quality facilities at all times. We've gone a really long time in Oakland without one. And I do think that because I view baseball stadiums, because of the number of games and the economic impact we produce as a public asset, I do think that it is part of my job, and it's in fact good business to have a public-private partnership to get those kind of facilities built.
And then just how do you reconcile this large volume of academic studies that say these stadium subsidies do not produce positive benefits?
Yeah, I love academics. They're great. I think take the areas where baseball stadiums have been built, okay? Look at what was around Truist Park before that was built. Look at the area around Nationals Park before it was built. I lived in that city. You know, academics can say whatever they want. I think the reality tells you something else.
We've had some of the teams talk renew interest in a salary cap going forward and having the economics committee look at it. You were pretty clear for a long time that they should understand that is it worth a lengthy shutdown to obtain a cap from the union. Has your view changed at all?
Honestly, we're just into one agreement. I'm really not prepared to speculate on what my views are, what the clubs might think. What really matters is when we get closer, what my views are and what we think. And getting something out there today, I don't think is a productive exercise for me.
Are you able to confirm any of the details around next year's Field of Dreams game and anything with Brickwood?
Yeah, look, there's only, let me say this, there's only one place that we play a Field of Dreams game. I don't know how this notion got out there, but that would be at the Field of Dreams, okay? We have played games in a variety of other places, on military bases, at the Little League field. We like the idea. There is a program of playing away from our home cities, and we'll announce what our program is for next year. When we're prepared to do that. But the Field of Dreams is a separate issue.
Based on what you've seen from the ABS system this year, Rob, how close do you think it is to the majors? Is next year within the realm of possibility at all?
I think you get debate on that among the decision makers. I think there's some sentiment among the group that we had a lot of change this year. We ought to let the dust settle, and there are clearly unresolved operational issues with respect to ABS. Despite all the testing, and we still have some things that are unresolved.
Rob, do you expect that A's fans in the Bay Area may stay fans of the team if they do leave to Las Vegas?
I'm sorry, you lost me there in the middle.
Would you expect that current A's fans would continue to be fans of the team if the team relocated?
I hope so. I hope that they stay baseball fans, whatever team they decide to affiliate with. Again, I'll say it again. The piece of this particular series of events that's the most disturbing to me is the idea of fans that have supported the team, losing a team. We hate that idea.
If the decision is made to go ahead with a relocation,